Back once again for the renegade master. 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 Back once again for the renegade master.
Hello my renegades and welcome back, and we are getting into Married at First Sight UK series 10 and we are now on episode 10. I'm catching up. I'm still going to do them even if they finish before I finish doing all of my videos. I'm still going to continue to the end, so you will still get my reviews, my breakdowns, even if after the show is finished, okay? So don't you worry about that. Anyway, before we get into this episode, as I always ask, please hit that subscribe button, please hit that notification button so you know when I'm doing videos. Please comment, like, share and do the good things that you do, because I continue to be on the road to 1K. Anyway, I don't know why I just did that, but you know, it felt good, so you know, why not? I'm a bit quirky like that, do you know what I'm saying? Anyway, so it's another dinner tonight. It's Maeve's 30th birthday as well, so happy belated birthday to Maeve. Joe is definitely sweet on her. Didn't think it would happen at the beginning, but he definitely likes Maeve, which I am happy for. So then we go to Sarah and Dean. So he talks about how they were holding hands and they were cuddling, and it was beginning slowly since the time with Charlene in Experts Week. And I thought, okay, but I hear a very big but coming. They ended up having an argument. So Sarah basically says, like, they had a few drinks and she said she wishes the argument didn't happen. And I'm kind of like, well, what the fuck happened here? So she says basically that she put her foot in it again. And I was like, how bad did she do Dean this time? So Dean said that the crew came down to where they were drinking, and Sarah made the comment to one of the crew members, if you were straight, I would be all over you. At first I thought it was David or Kia that she was making the comment to, but it does later come out, yes, it's definitely a crew member she said it to. And I thought, I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised she did that, to be honest with you, because each and every step of this show, she has been showing this man that she don't want him. Each and every step of this show, her behaviours are showing that she don't want him. Each and every step of this show, she literally doesn't want to try. She wants to throw him away, but she wants to come off as the innocent person that she's trying to portray herself to be. And she knows she's being shitty towards this man and don't want him, but yet won't leave the show. Because at the end of the day, of course, Dean's not going to be happy with that comment. Like, especially when where they're at right now. He knows she does not find him attractive. He knows she does not want intimacy with him. So yeah, bit of a smack in the face, that one. Like, seriously. So Dean is talking to Sarah and basically asked her, like, do you think you will ever fall for me in that way? And Sarah said, I don't know. And I'm thinking at this point, you would have an inkling whether you are going to fall for this man or not, if you truly wish to find out. But Sarah doesn't. And I think Dean at this point needs to realise this, to be honest with you. Because all Sarah is going to do is to apologise over and over and over. And again, Dean, the ever optimist, wants this to work, but it's not going to work. Dean needs to find his self-worth at this point. Literally find his self-worth and let this girl go. So Ashley and Grace are still having niggles basically with what he says. She doesn't want him to comment like on herself and what she looks like or what she wears, but says that he keeps doing it. We'll get more into that as time goes on, to be honest with you. So Paul and Anita are still in separate apartments. Paul is of the view that, like, the Experts Week went well because he asked questions, but I'm like, but you didn't provide the answers that Anita was looking for. So at the end of the day, I think at this stage Anita is giving Paul a little bit too much of a hard time, because she's on this accelerated time frame, and it's not fair to place that amount of pressure on Paul to make him feel like he's coming up short. Don't get me wrong, there are things that Paul needs to work on, seriously, but Anita's biggest problem at the moment is rush. She expects to be at a certain point at a certain time, but not everybody's going to be at that point with you, love. So what are you going to do? Either slow down a little bit and wait for Paul to catch up, or literally walk on without him. That's the key thing there. So Paul wants to walk in the dinner with Anita together, but Anita says she doesn't know and she's not sure. I'm gonna say at this point, Anita's being a little bit pathetic. She really is, and it's starting to wear thin on me at the end of the day. All I'm gonna say is, like, if you're working on this and you're saying you're giving 100%, then actually do it, because right now what I'm seeing is you're not doing anything in actuality. So we see Leah and Leah still have problems. Both of them are kind of standoffish with each other. So Leah became very disappointed that she continued to be in the friend zone. I mean, I don't know what she necessarily expected, because she takes things as a joke way too much. But I also think that Lee is literally jealous of the fact that, you know, she believes Leah was flirting with Rebecca. So then we go to Nellie. And Nellie is saying that she's proper exhausted because she's been putting in the effort with Stephen and getting nothing back. So Nellie is beginning to put the walls up, and from the edits, I know I shouldn't trust the edits, but from the edits I can see why Stephen is being an arsehole, but we will get to that very, very soon. So apparently it comes out that Nellie fell over in the tub and broke a rib. She told Stephen, and he apparently didn't give a shit and left her on her own and went out with the lads. Didn't come back home until gone 11 p.m. There's definitely something wrong with this man, because what? Your wife broke a rib. Your wife broke a rib and you fucked off out, leaving her in pain with no supports. That's nasty. And I don't care how he cuts it, yeah. I don't care how he cuts it. That's not nice. That's nasty. So Nellie asked him, like, do you want to talk about my broken rib or not? Because this man was just going to gloss over it. He's sitting on that couch the next day like ne'er-do-well. Like he ain't got nothing to discuss with this girl. This man, the looks that he gives her makes me wonder if he's just literally looking at her as if to say, I really don't want to deal with your ass today. I'm more than likely want to throttle you. It's the way he gives the side eye. It's like a dagger side eye. Yeah, he ain't nice. He's not nice. For me, Stephen is now just going through the motions of wanting to talk because he doesn't really want to do so. So Nellie told him about his behaviour towards her and how it left her feeling deflated, especially as he went home and didn't come back till late. And it's knocked her, basically. So Stephen starts talking to the camera and said, how can I say this without sounding like a dick? I thought, whatever the fuck's going to come out your mouth, you're going to sound like a freaking dick anyway, so you might as well just say it how you need to say it. So he says his stepdad had been in hospital and Nellie was not his priority. I thought, if that's the case, yeah, okay, yes, he's going to be worried about his stepdad. He's going to want to go visit his stepdad, yeah. But there's no explanation then, after you've done all of that you fucked out with the lads and didn't go back home until after 11 p.m. You didn't even check in with your wife to see if she was the fuck okay. So how does that work? Seriously, how does that work? So then we go to Julia, Ruth and Devani. And she said they went out for drinks, and she talks about Stephen being there when they went out for drinks. Everybody knew that Nellie had broken her rib. Everybody in that tree knew that Nellie had broken her rib, and Stephen was up the bar with the lads, basically. She wanted to know why he wasn't there with Nellie. And I was like, wow, this man, he's really playing something. So Julia Ruth said, so Stephen wasn't home with Nellie, which concerned her. And she said Stephen was at the bar, literally bragging about his sex life before he came to the experiment. All I'm going to say, if Stephen wants people to mind their business, he needs to stop chatting his business at the end of the day, because he gets pissed off when other people start to come in and defend his wife. He don't like that. Yeah, well, stop acting like a fucking douchebag, and they wouldn't have to do it at the end of the day. They wouldn't have to do the things that you're supposed to do as Nellie's husband. So Julia Ruth said she's not sure whether to bring it up at the dinner party, and that she's sure that Nellie doesn't know. I thought at the end of the day, you need to play it good. If you're going to bring it up at the dinner party, that's good, because Stephen needs to be put on blast, because right now he's acting like a fake and a phony. But my thing would be is you need to give Nellie the heads up before you do it. Don't slap that out there and she's none the fucking wiser, because that's not fair on her at the end of the day. So then you see Rebecca and Bailey also talking about Stephen, and they're kind of questioning where his head is at. Yeah, knowing Nellie had broken a rib and stayed at the bar all night. I thought, yeah, but his priority was his stepdad. His priority was his stepdad. I understand that during the day or the afternoon, but you're telling me you couldn't skip 5 minutes to go back home and go check on your wife before you went out with the lads? That's the thing that I'm saying in this. So Stephen is going on about how people would have opinions on how they would do things, and Stephen doesn't care. Well, if you don't care, you can't get angry with the stuff that gets brought up about your shit. At the end of the day, your sexual conquest that you had 2 weeks before you came to the experiment, and how much you want to bet that he's probably still in contact with those people while he's been on the freaking experiment, because his behavior is showing something, like really showing something. He don't want Nelly, he don't like Nelly, and this started from when he came back from the honeymoon. Yeah, so then you're going to a bar, chatting your wares, talking about your sexual conquest that you had and how they made you feel, what they did, what you didn't like. While your wife is sitting at home with a broken rib, you want to chat about other women. Right, okay. Nelly says, right, that Stephen doesn't take accountability well at all. We can fucking see that, love. But he also doesn't take into her account her well-being at all. He doesn't care about Nelly. That's all I'm going to say. My question, he don't care about that girl, and it's very much showing. So we get to the dinner party. So Julia, Ruth and Leah are all sitting together, and Devani does bring up the fact that, you know, Nelly had broken a rib and Stephen fucked off and everyone else was looking after her and checking in. Devani was truthful in terms of like the values tasks when he was talking to the lads when they did come in, and where he put sex and looks, and he basically told them straight off the bat that them two are not aligned at all. Julia Ruth is still saying to the others that she's very much confused that number 8 was for sex for Devani. I don't know why she's confused about that, because some people don't put sex at the top of the totem pole at the end of the day. So then Maeve and Joe come in all singing and dancing. Then we move back to the girlies, and Rebecca says she feels that Lee and Leah are closer every time she sees them. So Leah's expression is like a deer in the headlights, because she knows Lee's going to bring this shit up and probably cause some kind of rotty commotion at the end of the day. So Lee then decided that she was going to bring up how she felt in the way that Leah was flirting with Rebecca. And I was like, oh, okay, damn, here we go. Rebecca gave a face as if to say, what do you mean? And Leah was like, I can't believe she's going back here. But secretly liked it. That's the face that Leah was giving to me, because Leah likes the fact that Lee is jealous of the situation, and she's going to milk it for all she can do. But she better be careful that she don't put Lee on the back foot, you know what I mean? So Anita did not come with Paul again, and again I do feel it for Paul, to be honest, because she doesn't want to try it all. As I said, she's on the fast lane and Paul's too slow for her. So you see Ashley and Grace walk in. Ashley looks happy, especially in the fact that his wife brought him the shirt, and Grace is back to how she was when we first met her, like thinking like it's all intense. So Grace took Ashley telling her that she needed to get her nails done as an insult. Sometimes, yeah, I must say that she takes it a little bit too far. I mean, if someone has bad hygiene or their nails are looking a bit too long, then you just pull that person to the side and like you try and talk to them about it. And yes, it depends on like how you say it to them, so it doesn't seem like you're getting at them in that sense. But you've also got to be quite sensitive when you're telling people these things. So basically Grace took it as, you're trying to tell me how to do my nails, you're trying to tell me what to wear, and it rubbed her the wrong way. Ashley is basically confused by it. I think sometimes Ashley does need to engage his brain before he lets out what he wants to let out at the end of the day, rather than literally thinking it, letting it out, and then he's going to get backlash. Think about how you're going to word what it is that you're going to say before you say it, because you know you have a woman here that's quite sensitive in certain areas at the end of the day. So the main thing as well was Ashley explained to the lads like he was going to take Grace out for a surprise date. He knew where they were going. He just asked Grace to get dressed. So Grace got dressed and then came out and says, well, how do I look? Because he knew where they were going, he decided to tell her, but haven't you got a dress you could wear? And then Ashley act surprised why she took it weirdly, because I would take it weirdly, because I would have been saying, are you taking the piss? Because at the end of the day, if you know where the fuck we're going, then tell me how to dress accordingly. Like, what's the dress code? That's your first thought. So Julia Ruth then takes it upon herself to go and talk to Leah and speak about Stephen. So Stephen basically was bragging about how he was on this app called Raya, or Raya, whatever, which way you want to call it at the end of the day. So it's kind of like an app where you meet people and you hook up with people basically, and he was hooking up with this Z Lester celebrity, or whatever you want to call it, 2 weeks before he came on the show. But then I also thought to myself, okay, if that's correct, it's 2 weeks before the show. I don't know how long it is, but I kind of think they do know that they're getting matched with someone at that point, at least 2 weeks before the show, and where they've got to be. So he would have been technically engaged around that time at the end of the day. And I thought, could this be the reason why he's drawing away from Nelly now? Because she's not as exciting as the people that he would meet on this freaking app. So Maeve does confirm that, you know, Stephen was bragging about sleeping with other women to the lads on the night out. And basically what they say, he was being a dirty little stop out, to be honest with you. He was saying like all the fun he had with the girls, and like, you know, and then poor Nelly's at home with a broken freaking rib and he doesn't show up for her at all. So of course, as soon as Leah says it's out of order and he's a cheeky bastard, he walks Stephen and Nelly. And they've just been talking about him. So Nelly is basically saying that she's in a space of feeling like she's rocking the boat with Stephen if she brings up anything that she needs to bring up with him. So Stephen, in essence, is literally invalidating this girl and not allowing her to say what it is that she needs to say, because all he does is get frustrated and he gets angry and puts the blame on her. So all she's doing right now is putting a plaster on it by putting a smile on her face, hoping things will change, because she's making it her fault now that Stephen is like this. Stephen's a freaking manipulative arse. He's a manipulative arse at the end of the day if this is what he is doing. So the girls are telling her, like, it doesn't matter how Stephen feels, he can fuck off. You are within your freaking rights to bring up what it is that you need to bring up if you are not happy with something. And I agree with them at the end of the day. It's not Nelly's fault he's acting this way and don't want to be married to her, basically. Scratch that. He can't stand her at the end of the day. This is what is coming across to me. And she's worrying about upsetting him. Nah. So this is what I mean by someone having to walk on eggshells, because that's what Nelly is doing. Paul the expert was right. Nelly is proverbially walking on eggshells with Stephen for fear of upsetting him at the end of the day. So my thing is when are you going to step in, to stop this harmful behaviour that Stephen is now literally presenting with? So Stephen is not forthcoming with information about him and Nelly when the lads ask at the end of the day. But Leah decides, I want to have a chat with Stephen, and straight away Nelly says he's going to get annoyed when people get involved. And I'm like, mate, no, this ain't right at all. She is not in a good space with this man, and it's heartbreaking to see Nelly be scared by even Leah wanting to go talk to him, and it ain't right. So Leah said, I don't give a shit, and this is why I like her at the end of the day. So Leah pulls Stephen for a chat and said, things are getting said, so I'm coming to you to have that chat about them. So she asked, like, why didn't you come back to the flat all day and all night? So this man did talk about, like, his stepdad being in hospital, yada yada yada. But again, it's a case of, I understand that, and I understand that, you know, you would be put in a different kind of mind frame when it comes to one of your family members being in hospital. So I give him that at the end of the day. But it still doesn't give him the just cause to behave the way that he's behaving towards Nelly at the end of the day. Because his behaviours are showing he has no regard for this woman that he's married to. He does not care for this woman that he's married to. So he continues to invalidate that girl. But then, when he goes out on a night out, his stepdad's quickly forgotten about in terms of what they're talking about, because this man bragged to the lads about his conquest on this app he was using before he came into the camera to the programme, to the point that this man, I would always, as again, say that he knew he was being matched with someone. He knew he was going to get married to someone at that point. So before Leah could speak to Nelly, Julia Ruth is already in with the comments that Stephen made on this night out. and Julie Ruth tells Nelly that he told her that he had sex with a celeb before he came on the show, and that he became very, very braggy when he did this. Nelly was making all the right noises, but my thing is, will she pull Stephen up on it is the question. So Nelly feels like she's being made to look like a fool for letting her guard down. I thought, no, my love, you're not the fool. He is the fool. He showed a part of himself that she would have taken at face value. And that's what we do. We are human at the end of the day. Until someone begins to show different facets of themselves, because some certain people can't maintain an act for too long, before the true self comes out to play. And that's when you then start saying, oh, okay, so what you first showed me was not your true self. It was probably a part of you, small part of you, but this is who you are, and then you then have to move accordingly. So Lee comes in and sits down with Leah and Stephen, and I will give it to her, because Lee takes no half measures. And she does tell Stephen to his face, if you want it to work with Nelly, you need to be smarter than you have been. It don't look good at all at the end of the day. And this is what Stephen don't like. People telling him what to do, especially up in his business, but he put it out there, so it's free game at the end of the day. It will be what it will be. It's so Stephen, did show that when he was sitting on that couch and saying all the things, all the good things, all this, that and the other, and what it is that he needs to do, it was a bunch of bollocks. It was just for the experts and just for the cameras. This is who Stephen is. Stephen says as such to the cameras in terms of people getting on his nerves and getting in his business and this, that and the other. And I'm like, this man accepts no accountability for how he's coming across and why people are saying things to him at the end of the day. Is because they care about Nelly and they don't want to see her hurt. They don't want to see you make her look like a fucking dickhead. So Stephen needs to get off his own freaking high horse. So then Dean and Sarah walk in swinging hands, and you can see Dean is not happy. You can see the spark that was in Dean at the beginning is completely disappeared from this man, but Sarah is all smiles. I'm telling you, on the next couch session, Dean needs to go home for real, seriously needs to go home. So Dean says he tells the lads that Sarah said to one of the crew members, if they were straight, she would sleep with him. I'm just like, I'm at a point where I don't know how much Dean is going to sit there and be walked on and disrespected in this manner. As I said, it's time for him to leave. Sarah is not for him. She's not for him. There is someone out there for him, and Sarah will automatically go back to the people that she gravitated to in the first place, and it's all the toxicity men that she's now akin herself with at the end of the day, because she's so hella arse toxic behaviours. So Dean did confront Sarah in the argument and says he doesn't think he can stay because she won't ever feel that way about him. And she said again, I don't know if I will. So why did she write stay on that damn card if she wasn't going to try at all? Sarah has her own issues going on, and this is where I say them two need to just literally fish or cut bait at the end of the day. So Sarah is there saying that her and Dean are getting better, and I thought, where, my love? Where are you getting better? Seriously, point me in that direction, because I'm literally lost about what I'm hearing right now. Dean, as I've already said, has low self-worth, and you can see it from what's happening right now, because I don't understand why he is allowing someone to do this to him, because it won't be just the one argument, it will be all the time that they spend together at the end of the day, because Sarah's going to keep on doing this consistently because she don't like this man and don't find him attractive. So Nelly is on guard and expecting Stephen to work at it now. She says she deserves better, and I'm like, well, I hope you understand that, Nelly. I really, really do. So I hope that when she does go and talk to Stephen about what she's been informed of, she doesn't buckle at the first hurdle, because Stephen guaranteed is going to show his frustration and anger, and he's going to back Nelly into a corner, because he's going to blame everybody else but himself. So Stephen looks so arrogant when he walks over to Nelly, and Stephen tries by getting Nelly on side, trying to banter with her, but he can see Nelly is not buying it at all. So she tells him exactly what has been going around and what's been shared with her. So now Stephen said he wasn't talking about his sexual conquest at all and wanted to know who said it. Nelly didn't tell him who said it. But at the end of the day, people have heard it. And I don't see the reason why Julia Ruth and Maeve and anybody else who heard it would lie, to be honest with you. I said, I told you Stephen would invalidate Nelly and what she's feeling in that moment, hearing that. And now he says, like, 2 weeks before the experiment, why is it coming into the experiment? Because you brought it in, Stephen, when you stood there with the lads braggy about your sexual conquest and didn't think nothing would come back. Of course something's going to come back. So Nelly had to tell him, don't get mad at me, you know. Like, she's just a messenger at the end of the day. Stephen did wrong and he needed to accept that accountability, but he won't listen to Nelly and basically finds it laughable is what he said. These people is the true essence of Stephen. He is a selfish twat and he doesn't deserve Nelly at all, yeah. All he's done is F and Jeff at her and deflect within that whole conversation. So Nelly tells him again to his face, like, I'm not finding it funny. If you are, great, but I'm not. And instead of actually speaking to Nelly, he then turns to the room to get everybody else's attention. So he said, who decided to say I was having sex with a Z-lister? And Julia Ruth said, you did talk about who you were having sex with on Raya. This man literally started to deny from his backside. And I'm like, how would Julia Ruth know what apps you were on and who you were having sex with if you didn't say anything? So riddle me that freaking Batman. So Julia Ruth called to Devani and called to Maeve at the end of the day and said, you know what was said, back me up here at the end of the... Maeve said, I've just said I know. And Joe shushed Maeve to tell her, babe, please don't get involved with this. And I thought, no, Joe, don't do that. Don't quiet and doubt Maeve. At the end of the day, Julia Ruth needed the people who heard Stephen say what he said with her to back her up. Because in my book, silence is compliance at the end of the day. Because if it were one of the wives, best believe all the lads would be saying something about her behaviour and how it looks and yada yada yada. So Joe should not have silenced Maeve in that point. I think it was wrong of him to do, and I don't care if you don't want to get involved with the shit or not. At the end of the day, one of these lads needs to be called out about his behaviour, and you as one of the husbands should call this fucking man out about his behaviour at the end of the day. So then Julia Ruth had no point but to go to Devani, her husband, and I thought, mate, don't you dare leave your wife out to dry. Devani left her hanging, like literally left her hanging, didn't even open his mouth. He literally, I was like, dude. So Julia Ruth knew she had to bat for herself, and bat for herself she did. Do you know what I mean? But them lot are fuckers to leave her like that, yeah. Because Stephen now becomes more confident in the fact that no one's gonna say anything and say, I know you said it. So basically Julia Ruth shouted across the room to him, you told us about your sexual activity and you said this woman gave you sloppy head. And I thought, yeah, mate, come on now. Who else? Well, how would she know the shit that you said if you didn't say it? And this man kept on going on. He couldn't defend what Julia Ruth let out. So then he goes on the freaking attack. I'm sorry. I'm not going to stand for no one talking to a woman or anyone like that. It's disrespectful. It's disgraceful. And it's disgusting how he was literally shouting at Julia Ruth. And no one in that room came to her defense. Least of all her fucking husband. That's fucked up, I must say. And this is why I say to people, yeah, when it comes to us black women and us black women having to say the truth of things, especially in a room of certain people, yeah, we are the ones left defending our freaking selves because no one won't come to our defense in that sense. Let me just put it this way. If it was when any of the other wives that Stephen was shouting at like that, best believe the other men would have piped up and spoke up on her behalf, like, don't shout at my wife that way, don't do this, don't do that. No one came to this woman's defense. And it was absolutely appalling to freaking watch this grown ass man shouting down this black woman at the end of the day. And that's what he was doing. So after all of that cussing, Stephen decides to get up and walk out, yeah, and calls them all, see you next Tuesdays. And this is what I mean. And this is what I mean, because he couldn't best Julia Ruth. Julia Ruth knows how to look after herself and deal with herself. Yeah, she didn't need anybody else at that point to back her, because she knew what it was. She knew what time it was at the end of the day. So you see, Bailey has gone out now to see Stephen, and Mavie's talking to Julia Ruth. And I thought, but you fuckers left this girl hanging. That ain't right at the end of the day. Facts are facts. Stephen left Nelly in pain with no help or support. He went to the bar with the lads, and instead of checking on his wife, he sat there making disgusting chat about other women that he'd slept with 2 weeks before he went into mass. So yeah, at the crux of it, he's the issue. Nelly is not the issue. So gentlemen, gentle ladies, everybody in between, this is the real Stephen. So then, after all that tenseness, in walks David and Kia, and it gets a little bit lighter, and they're like none the wiser of what happened, but they'll be caught up pretty soon, and then dinner is served. So Nelly did say to Julia Ruth, thank you for holding your own and not folding against Stephen, and if someone should be scared, it should be Stephen. I thought, she's right. Not one person had Julia Ruth's back throughout that whole tirade, and it was in poor taste. And the same is said for Devani. He didn't have his wife's back at all, and I would be totally pissed if that was me, because those that know me, or those that have been in a relationship with me, know that if anyone, as I said before, goes for mine, I'm there. I'm about it. I am about it, and my mouth knows no bounds. I will protect those around me fully. So the couples were chatting, and Maeve and Joe are like on a good standing. Sarah is talking to Julie Ruth, and she's saying, like, you know, her and Dean are on the right track. And I thought, unless it's derailed, mate, I don't think Sarah and Dean are on the right side of anything, to be honest with you. Dean looks so upset, as I said, and not himself. So with Paul, he did say that he doesn't think things are improving with Anita, and Ashley does ask, like, is it moving quick enough? Paul does say, like, Anita is an attractive woman and he is attracted to her. Anita said, oh, well, that's the first time she's heard him say that. And I thought, and that's the issue. Anita doesn't know what Paul is thinking and feeling about her, and he's not very forthcoming with it as well. So Paul said to her, I didn't know you needed that affirmation. And Anita turned around and said, no. And this is what I said, their communication with each other is piss poor, yeah, and they continue to keep battling with each other. And this was supposed to be the week that Paul wins Anita back, yeah. So Stephen, and his arrogant self, comes back to the table. Nelly ignores him. Good on you, Nelly. And Stephen has the audacity to say he's fine, but made the joke that more ears that listen in is the more mouths that pipe up. I thought, dude, you are disgusting and disrespectful. You were called out, so basically suck it up, buttercup, at the end of the day. So Stephen needs to give his head a wobble for real. So Rebecca steps in and told him that Nelly has had his back, and all she wanted was for him to not be the last one back. So Nelly, as it's now come to fruition, knew that he was out with the lads. So Stephen said Nelly had not been his priority, and I thought, we know that she hasn't been your priority, Stephen. She's not been your priority since you come back off the honeymoon at the end of the day. So that's all I can say on that one. So Lee said, basically, what is the issue? The issue is he fucked up and he disrespected Nelly. I'm paraphrasing this, by the way. I'm glad Lee spoke up to defend Nelly, to be honest with you. And Stephen said he knows that, but he feels he's being made to apologise again and again to appease everyone. Nelly at this point is just hella quiet. So Lee said, no, that's not the case, and directly asked Nelly, do you feel you have been apologised to? I'm kind of like, I hope Nelly speaks up, because she is looking like a deer in the headlights at the moment. So Nelly said, like, Stephen had apologised to her when he walked in, but for her it's the fact that he spoke about inappropriate things on a night he should have been home with her. And again, Stephen don't want to deal with it. Don't want to deal with Nelly at all and what she's saying. He doesn't want to listen to her. The man annoys me to hell and back. That's all I can say. So he always seems to have a problem when Nelly talks to him. He always gets defensive, and again he deflects from what she said about what he was talking about was the issue for her. So Nelly says, like, she's getting to the point where she feels she's getting dismissed by him, and her feelings are getting dismissed by him. This man has the audacity to roll his eyes at her and breathe out like he's the hard done by one. So then Lee jumps in after Nelly said to him, don't you roll your eyes at me. Well done, Nelly. Stick up for yourself. You have to. You literally have to against this man. I think for me, it's the women that are coming forward to call out Stephen's behaviour and protect Nelly, but none of the men I've noticed are opening their mouths to say Stephen is wrong and chat to him about it. None of them are doing that, and I'm thinking, what the fuck is going on? Do you think the same way that he thinks then? So then we go back to Lee, and she tells him like it's uncomfortable to watch how Stephen is behaving with Nelly, like when she is telling him how she feels, and Lee calls him out completely about how he was behaving and saying that he was dismissive of Nelly. And this man says, are you joking me? I thought, mate, get out of your own arse for real. Out of your own arse for real. And then after all that comes in the honesty box, and I thought, flip my life. So Maeve to Joe was, what are you finding hardest about being in the experiment? Joe talks about like his addictive personality, the party lifestyle in the past, and being around in the drinking environment. He's kind of struggling with it at the moment. He says Maeve has been amazing, and she's adapted to Joe in dropping back in her partying ways, and especially in terms of drinking alcohol around him. But this is something that Maeve wanted to do. She wanted to be able to pull back from that lifestyle herself, so she's actually starting to do it. So then we go to Giovanni, and he asked Julie Ruth, do you feel like we are in the same team? I thought after tonight that answer should be no. Hell no. So Julia Ruth said no, and she's right, because if your wife is calling your name to defend her, why the fuck are you sitting silent, dude? Why are you ignoring her call for help, dude? Back her the fuck up. I don't care if Stephen's your boy or not. Yeah, back her up. So Paul asked Anita, why didn't you want to come to the dinner party with me? Anita did think, that she wanted to go to the dinner party with him at first, but then she felt that she didn't want to give him like the wrong idea at the end of the day. So she wasn't sure if Paul had placed her excuses as friends or once more, so she took a step back. But Paul is right, not everyone is going to be on the same timeline as Anita at the end of the day. As he said, judge me on 6-8 weeks, don't judge me on just 2 weeks coming in. So Paul says like when he's spending time with Anita, he's starting to like her. He likes getting to know her, and people ask her, well, ain't that a good base to start at? And I think it is, but Anita is on a flight course, basically. That's what she's on. She wants that man to be on that flight course with her, but he's nowhere near that stage yet. So she said like she needs to know where she stands. She needs to know if Paul wants the same things. And I'm like, was you not listening to what he said on the couch? You two want the same things from a freaking marriage and from the person that you're with. Obviously, again, she was not listening. She says, I haven't got time to waste. So Ashley said, like, and this is why I say he needs to get his brain in together before he says it. He says, you've got 10 weeks in you, have you not? He says, you're not fucking dying. I was like, mate, there's not much more I can say to that at the end of the day. So then we go to Leah, and Leah asks Lee, how have your feelings changed for me this week? I kind of think Leah knows what's coming, and she's laughing when she asks the question, and this is what I mean. Leah gets too jokey, and Rebecca wasn't too looking too comfortable in that moment, let me just say. So Lee says, of course she has to bring up the Rebecca situation. But for me, I didn't think it was that deep though, to be honest. I really didn't. Although Leah did tell Lee Rebecca is her type, and Rebecca decided to say Leah feels like home, I can kind of see Lee's angst on it up to a point, but she's just dragging it out now for me. So she says that she has feelings towards Leah, because if she didn't, she wouldn't be bothered by it at the end of the day. So Leah does go for a kiss. She does go for a kiss. But as she gets closer, Lee decides to divert her and ends up kissing her on the cheek. David did get all excited when Leah leant in and went, oh, and then it was all deflated because of the fact that this girl swerved her. She swerved her head. I says, wow, how that saying it all, don't it? So Ashley basically says, what is the biggest challenge in our marriage for you? And Grace says, basically, I can't understand you. She talks about, how do we get to a place where I feel comfortable or you don't feel nagged at the time, because I'm constantly calling you out for things. So Ashley says everything she does call him out on is him trying to be nice, but it backfires on him. I said, mate, it's the way you word things at the end of the day. There's a way in which you can word things. If you just engage your rasped brain before you say it, you can word it correctly, and you may not run into so many issues when you put it out to your mouth. Yeah. So, because Grace can't keep correcting that dude, she can't. So Ashley's trying to tell the group an example of what is being said. So we talked about the nails incident. Then them two get into a little squabble at the table about what was said. So Rebecca asked him basically, how did you say it then? And Ashley said there was a gap in the back of her nails that he always noticed with his sister and his mom, because they get their nails done, and usually it means they need to have their nails done. So he basically said, you need to go and get your nails done. And Grace continues with, yeah, he said, I prefer the French tip. I mean, mate, come on. Even though he actually said he meant it in the gesture of, I want to take you out to treat you to get your nails done, yeah, he didn't say those words. So what is she meant to infer from the words that he did say? Grace did get rather snippy at the table in what she relayed back to Ashley, and to be honest, Grace wasn't very nice. Like, she swore at him. And this is the one thing, one of my pet peeves, I can't abide anyone swearing at me, yeah, because all I know is that would have hit a mark at the end of the day. That's where I draw the line. You can get frustrated with me, you can show your frustration to me any which way you want to, but the minute you fucking let loose and start swearing at me directly, oh no, I don't take too kindly to that. So Bailey asked Grace, do you believe it came from a good place though, or do you believe he was saying it how you understood it to be? So Grace didn't really answer the question, to be honest with you, but it bothered her. And then she talks about like the situation with the outfit for the night out, and Ashley asked her to put on a dress instead. So then it gets into a deep discussion, and Ashley says like he's taking full responsibility for how it comes across, and he's not blaming Grace. And Grace does interrupt. I'm just like, she just says, let's cease this conversation, basically, without saying it out loud. And she does say to the cameras after that they are struggling to know each other. And I knew this would be a reoccurring issue with these two, especially with what was happening at the honeymoon. So Rebecca said basically on a scale of 1 to 10 to Bailey, 10 being love, how strong are your feelings for me? Bailey said he is a firm 9.5. Rebecca's eyes nearly popped out of her head, and I thought that is a change up for the books considering where these two have come from. So then we get to Dean, and Dean asked Sarah, do you have any regrets so far? And I thought, oh Lord, what will she say? She says yes, she does have regrets. She regrets the last dinner party and the comments she made. Dean just looks so dejected at this moment in time. I don't even think he cares about her answer at the end of the day. He's hurting from her comment to the crew member and everything that's happened in between. And she says she regrets as well the argument as well, and she wished that it hadn't happened, but it has, and we've dealt with it. And I was like, how could you say that with such brazenness at the end of the day? It's like she couldn't even be bothered to relive any part of that situation at the end of the day. Because my thing is, the reason why she regrets that argument is because of what she said. It's what the action that she took. Yeah, like Dean didn't matter. That's what she doesn't seem to realize when she's saying these things. Yeah, why did you have the argument? Look at your actions, look at what you did. But she doesn't. Again, I think Dean is convincing himself more that they will be fine, but they won't, because again, Sarah doesn't want Dean, and I think Dean sees it, but he's waiting in hope. As again I've said throughout this episode, Dean has no self-worth. He doesn't know what his worth is, otherwise he wouldn't let Sarah do what she's doing to him at the end of the day. You literally see that this man has no spark left in him. The spark he had for joy and everything like that, which you saw at the wedding, in through the honeymoon, to in part when they came to the apartments, is completely gone. So Sarah's there talking to the cameras, and she gets upset as she knows how highly Dean speaks about her, and she doesn't know how to deal with it. And as I said, it's because you don't want him. And it's okay to not want someone at the end of the day. What's not okay is for you to keep treating the man like a fucking arse all the time, treating him like a fool. That's what's not okay. So Stephen asked Nelly, do you trust me? Nelly, all I'm gonna say is nothing else should come from that girl's mouth but no. At the end of the day, Nelly said, I don't know. She says, I can't trust you with my heart. At the end of the day, she says words are great, but she needs to see more action to back it up from Stephen. She believes that they could get there, but I don't think they will, because for some reason Stephen is not into Nelly at all. Stephen then has the audacity to say to the cameras he doesn't feel that he has that much making up to do. And I thought, really? Stephen really thinks Nelly is a freaking pushover, do you know what I mean? He thinks he's all that and he ain't. He really isn't. So this man says it can't be just me give and she receiving all the time. He says there needs to be balance. This man caused this situation right now, and he has the audacity to say it can't be just him giving and she receiving everything. Does this man actually listen to the words that are coming out of his mouth? Like, seriously? Yeah. So he's saying, like, the way he's feeling right now, he doesn't know if he will stay or leave and wants to do a lot of thinking overnight. I would say do it in separate apartments, because this man is something else. And that is where the episode ended, and I'll be back in quick succession with the next episode. As I always say, my renegades and everybody that is coming in, if you're liking what you're hearing, if you're liking me reacting, breaking down to this, please, as I always say, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification button so we know when I'm doing videos. Please comment, like, share and do the good things that you do, because I continue to be on the road to 1k. Peace out.